Hello, my name is Tanisha Johnson. I am a Full Sail University student, and I'm going to be talking to you today about an entertainment law update podcast that I reviewed, and I'll just be giving my insight on it. Privacy being invaded. That seems to be big this day and age. In the podcast, Gordon talked about a case with Erin Andrews where a stalker had somehow managed to invade her privacy by putting a camera inside of a peephole in a hotel room that she was staying in. She won $55 million with that case. When I think about privacy, I think about my artists, and I say to myself that in my future endeavors, I will make sure that our security does a full sweep of the room for anything of that nature, and also be signing in underneath a false name, because people are always watching, and we want to be able to protect the privacy of the artists and ourselves in the company. Also in the podcast, it talked about permissions. Flipagram has been doing this little thing that they do with music and photos, creating a little video, and they weren't getting permissions from the actual music, and so they've partnered up with Warner, Sony, and Universal to now be able to have these rights to some forms of music. But in the podcast, they talked about Flipagram asking for forgiveness instead of permission, and I kind of thought that was wrong. So what I take away from that is I will always make sure my staff and myself to get permission to use anything that does not belong to us, and that goes from music, words, phrases, pictures, anything that doesn't belong to us, because I do not want to compromise the arts of my artist just because I didn't get permission to use something that didn't belong to me. In the podcast, Gordon and his associate also talked about copyright registration. There was a case they discussed with Rick Ross versus LMFAO, which is a band. And in it discussed Rick Ross' song Hustling. And in it, the lyric says, "Every day I'm hustling." Well, LMFAO has a song and it says, "Every day I'm shuffling." Rick Ross had registered a copyright in 2006. Twice that year, and then again in 2007. And from what I understand, it wasn't published. So I take away from that in my futures, I would always make sure that my artist songs are published and ready for distribution before I send out for the copyright, so there won't be any types of fraud that may come about, or if they even think that I'm doing fraud, because I don't want to damage my artist's work of arts and sound recordings just because of that mistake. You have to always make sure that you have all your P's and Q's in order before you do something, because you don't want to damage the reputation of the artist or your company. And again, I just thank you for listening to my podcast. The entertainment law update has great information, and I thank you, and I hope you have a great day.